Lair Actions. It's a pretty awesome mechanic. The environment of your boss monster reacting to the battle that's occurring around it. But the monster manual doesn't really give us any direction for making our own, and the ones we're given are for monsters way over CR 10. Boss battles should be exciting regardless of the level of your adventuring party, and if you're like me, who's played with some pretty experienced players, vanilla Lair Actions can become a bit stale when everyone at the table is waiting for the initiative 20 drop to react accordingly. I believe Lair Actions should be iconic, catching your party off guard while still keeping the flow of combat moving forward. So something I've implemented in my home games is develop my own variant of Lair Actions by taking inspiration from another tabletop game I enjoyed as a kid, Yu-Gi-Oh!, specifically trap cards. I thought, what if Lair Actions didn't happen exactly at Initiative 20, but instead refreshed, at that point allowing the DM to activate the Lair reaction at any point of their choosing in the round. Kinda like a hard-hitting reaction.
You've activated my trap card! The Spellbinding Circle! My circle has stopped your attack, and that's not all.
Oh no!
But before I get a little ahead of myself, let me explain Lair Actions, or better yet, I think you should watch Ginny D's video on them. That video literally just dropped as I was planning on shooting this, and it's honestly helped me make a better script for this video. So go check out that video if you need a basics run through of Lair Actions, because she does a way better job at explaining them than I ever could.
I miss my high school Pathfinder DM prep more than anything in the world. I miss the crunch. I miss crunching.
So for all my Crunchy RPG fans out there, here's the formula I use for Lair reactions. The Lair reaction DC I use is 8 plus the boss monster's proficiency bonus, which will be 3 for my examples, plus the level at which the adapted spell or ability is being cast at. Now let's get into the actual bulk of the video. Traps. DMs love them, but it can be a little difficult to spring on players who are chronically searching for them. Or, if you're ADHD brain like me, you forget to spring them at certain points or overall in general. But don't worry, we can save those traps for the final encounter if you forget. In the Game Master's books of Traps, Puzzles, and Dungeons by Jeff Ashworth and a few others, traps are broken down into 4 separate categories: painful, deadly, disruptive, and complex. Right off the bat, complex traps should be safe for adventuring and exploring to avoid slowing down the intensity of combat.
With my catapult turtle, I can launch my dragon champion toward your castle, shattering its flotation ring, thereby causing it to collapse on top of your monsters.
This card game is a load of bollocks.
Let's start with painful traps. The way I see painful traps is dealing a bit of damage to a player that's either been avoiding it or dealing a lot of it. So let's look to our favorite underdog and chronic gambler, Joey Wheeler, and one of his favorite trap cards.
Kunai with chain! What is this? My trap card worked! Reel 'em in, Axe Raider!
By taking the spell Rhymes Binding Ice and changing the aesthetic up a bit, we can make a pretty painful Lair reaction. First, let's make it a single target trap that's dex-based and deals slashing damage. We'll activate it as a 4th level spell, effectively making the dexterity saving throw 15 to avoid full damage and the restraining effect. Kunai with chain. Kunai with chain. Just imagine, the axe-wielding green dragonborn Garuzis loosens his free hand from his battle axe, and with lightning speed launches a large chain kunai at the wizard in the back line. He tries to cast shield, but unfortunately, it's a dex saving throw.
Attack, Garuzis! Battle Axe Crush!
Even if the wizard passes his dex saving throw, he's going to take a bit of damage, but if he fails, he's going to have to rely on his party members to unchain him, and I understand that restraining effect of this could actually be interchangeable with the next category of traps: disruptive traps. With these, you won't be dealing damage per se, but trust me, if used properly, that can change real quick, especially when taking inspiration from our spiky-haired protagonist Yugi Moto and the power of his
magical hats! Conceal the Dark Magician! He's under there somewhere, but which one?
Have your players forced you into an advantageous positioning, solidifying a quick and underwhelming boss battle? Well, with the 6th level spell Scatter, we can reverse that. The party now has to succeed a DC 17 Wisdom saving throw, or have their positioning moved to somewhere more suited to your liking. With this, the advantage is back in your boss monster's favor, and your party is starting to rethink their entire strategy. I typically like to activate this reaction right before the boss's turn. Magical Hats! Breaker, the magical warrior, raises his shield defiantly while chanting the ancient creed of his Eldritch Knight order, when suddenly a blinding light emerges from his shield, surrounding every creature within the chamber. And let's say the wizard casts Counterspell. They're still going to have to pass a DC 16 ability check to overcome the effect. No damage is dealt, but rest assured, that's about to change when you take into account that Breaker has 3 multi-attacks, an action surge that's still up, and the wizard is now within melee range. Sounds like a pretty deadly round, which brings us to our final category. Deadly Traps. Are you at the end of your campaign, or just the end of the line for a boss who really wants to take someone down with them, or just scar them permanently? It's fitting that we take inspiration from the cold-blooded strategy of Seto Kaiba for this category, and one of my favorite Season 1 trap cards.
This card! My Crush Card Trap!
Eat it, nerds!
Crush Card Virus. By taking the spell Blight and giving it the 20-foot radius of Cloud Kill centered on the boss, we can create a potentially deadly killing blow to the boss and the players surrounding it, with 8d8 necrotic damage.
It's a good thing I'm Seto Kaiba, or that might have actually hurt me.
Vorse, the Dark Raider, battered and broken, uses the last of his energy to shatter the necrotic orb within his mighty glaive. A black mist engulfs him and begins billowing towards the party. I need the Paladin to make a Constitution saving throw.
But what would Grandpa say?
Yogi! Kill that son of a bitch!
And hey, maybe you don't want to kill your players. I get that. But you can always use this as a great opportunity to leave a single player with a lingering illness, affecting them for days until the proper restoration is provided. Sounds like a great side quest hook if you're running a more slow-paced Westmarch style campaign that requires a bit of urgency. Or maybe your players want some character development between each other during downtime. Tragedy and illness can provide powerful factors for bringing a party together. In conclusion, every boss encounter, no matter how small, should have its own unique flavor and varying curve of difficulty, because otherwise, nothing's really separating it from the horde of encounters the players have to go through to reach the boss. And just like the iconic cards in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Character's deck, Lair Actions should be just as iconic. I hope that these examples have sparked some imagination in you to look towards your favorite childhood media for inspiration for your own reactive Lair Actions, or maybe just encounters in general. If so, drop some ideas in the comments, because sharing our homebrew ideas and experiences really is the heart of the cards for tabletop RPGs. And also, before I take off for my own iconic 7 PM nap, keep your eyes peeled for an upcoming video where I design a low-level one-shot based around a card I mentioned in this video. Let me know who you think it's going to be.